are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Afternoon, and for some of you, probably already evening. It's so good to see each and every one of you in this Network Empire Project Breakthrough Webby. I'm so happy that you're here.
Woohoo!
It's really kind of amazing. We had over 50 people sign up at the last minute today, which is kind of weird metrics, but I'm glad. Maybe something went viral. That's always good. It's good to see you guys and gals. And it's been a while. I think, did we have yeah, we had one last week. What am I
We
thinking?
had one last week.
Why does that seem like 200
It's
years?
because it's been 200 years since last week.
Why is that? Did it feel like a long week to everybody? Give me a one if
Well,
you, give me a one if you
it
can
was
hear
a
us.
holiday.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, give me a one if you can hear us, and a two if you cannot. That's right. I completely forgot that the holiday gives us illusion of extended time. And
Ryan.
Ryan is always Ryan's getting kind of smarty. Ryan, you're getting to be a smarty pants. No, Ryan's actually he's using he's using all of our personal information and private interests and ideas that we give away for his own
Against us.
manipulative. He remembers that Sue likes Depeche Mode. Has anybody in here under the age of 40 ever heard of Depeche Mode? That's my real question.
What
Oh,
song?
what was that? Okay. Oh, I guess not. I do want everybody to know that I am suffering from a little bit of a weird dental thing today, so I'm still got the stuff they put in your head. It makes you a little bit weird. It's possible that I could say things that I later regret. I will do my very, very best not to, and Sue, of course, reserves the right at any moment to cut me off should I open my big mouth and say something entirely inappropriate. Now, that being said, you guys know that I do that anyways, so imagine what it's like on all kinds of laughing gas, so that's where we're at. Okay, we have on the screen the questions that we have coming up. Did I say that right? Yeah. Okay, so here's the questions that have come in from. Hopefully you guys know where to submit a question. That is on
Where to submit a question?
omgsoftware.com. It's a very handy dandy.
No, omg.software.
I'm
No
sorry.
.com.
Wow, that would be a triple domain. What is it with triple domains anyways, Sue? I've seen those. I've seen blah, blah, blah,
That's called
dot, blah, blah, blah.
subdomain.
Well, yes, it's a sub of a sub, though.
Subdomain.
No, you can go,
No, I mean, you see, I've got www.omg.software.
okay,
That's a subdomain.
not triple, but I've actually seen more than that. I've actually seen
You can have 4. You can have an unlimited number. There's no limit to the number of.
yeah, and I never really thought about that until I saw one the other day. Someone was trying to be clever. And
Right.
to me, that's just really interesting. I didn't really know that. I mean, I kind of knew that you could do that, but I
Ooh.
didn't know if it'd be more trouble than it's worth. And really, that's the
Ooh.
same as like folders within folders, right?
It is.
Can you manipulate that? No,
You can manipulate anything.
you're holding that stuff close to your eye. I think I heard you and having a conversation with somebody. That's really interesting. I'm just wondering. It makes me wonder about how that could be used. When I saw this, this gentleman sent me this link, and it was like 2 subdomains out. Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, we have more people coming into the community, which is great here. I'm so glad to see you. All right, good. So I guess we should just jump right in. We have well over 3/4 of the people that are going to be here. So we'll probably just, now be advised, if you did hit omg.software, that if you submit a question, it will not get answered until next week. Okay, and that'll be our next week.
If you submit it now, because I've already pulled the questions.
Yeah, and we would really like you guys to unplug here, and you've probably got a lot of questions that you're afraid to ask, or, and again, because we're going to be going back and forth.
They should be afraid.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be going back and forth from your questions area to the spreadsheet. I would like you guys to we actually really value people asking amazing questions or questions that you might be afraid to ask. And, this is the time to do it. We may not answer it on here, but you should still ask it, because you'd be surprised how many of you are not asking the right questions, especially with a caliber of team like ours. You could ask like
What
ridiculous.
is the right question?
Yeah, exactly. And there is one. That's a good question, by the way, Sue. That would be a right question. You gave away my gamification search query, the definition of artificial intelligence. That was a good one. Do you guys know what the ultimate question is? Give me a 1 if you think you know what the ultimate question is. Sue just gave it away, but you might not have heard her.
42.
Well, it is 42. Or is it 46? Or anybody know what the absolute? If you had a search engine that could answer any question in the multiverse, and you had one question that you could answer it, did you all know that there's only really one question that makes sense both logically and irrationally in 2 different types of logic language, both mobilistic and totalistic? What is that question?
Ryan's got it.
Ryan, what is it? Did you get it? Let me see.
Yep.
Let's not tell everybody.
How many links does it take? That's it.
Ryan, you're fired. I'm pulling him out. This thing, just kidding. No, it's good, Ryan. I remember those commercials. Okay.
Right? That was good marketing.
Christina says that the answer is what? By the way, this is a true artificial query intelligence question. Okay, I'm not making this up. Ryan says, okay, what's the multiverse? Paul, ignore the multiverse. Let me just try the question again. If you had a machine that was as big as whatever gigantic frame you could possibly imagine, whether it's the multiverse or the universe or whatever, okay? It was the ultimate Google of everything anywhere, like the Google of 20 million years from now or whatever. And you could ask any question because it knows any answer. There is only one possible question that you should ask it, both logically. This has been really debated and talked about in philosophy, both mobilistic and totalistic. There really is only one accurate answer for this question. What should you ask it? David, you got it. David Duncan, I'm proud of you. David, see me for a bonus of some kind. You got it. I'm pleased. That's good. Paul says why? Paul said, what is the multiverse? I'm not sure. Christina Crowley says why. That's also not correct. Asking it why doesn't narrow the parameters. Greg says, Ryan, yours is also not correct. However, you probably could get an answer to that. So David, I'm going to read David Duncan's answer. And David, seriously, do contact me. I'm going to give you something. The correct answer, which is actually true both in totalistic philosophy as well as artificial intelligence and quantum physics, is what question should I ask? What question should I ask? That is the only accurate answer to that question. Accurate meaning optimal, the way to optimize and leverage data in a larger sense. So that's something for you to think about. And now that you have that answer, there's probably nothing useful or practical that you could ever do with that, but I thought it would be fun.
I can tell you the answer that the computer would give you.
What would it give you?
It depends.
That's my answer. It depends. That was classic. Okay. So you guys, I'm done playing around. Let's get right into the questions. Sue, shall we start?
All right. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Can you guys hear us okay? To me, it sounds like Russell's cutting in and out a little bit.
Am I cutting in and out?
Give me a 1. Well, just ever such a smidge. Give me a 1
Okay.
if you can hear us okay, and a 2 if it's sounding a bit weird.
I thought that was the dentist's drugs, but
Well, they could be.
I heard myself cutting in and out, so I didn't know that everybody else heard.
That's all I can say about that.
Fine, everything's good. I'm here. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
All right, good.
She says I do sound a little bit fuzzy. Okay, while Sue talks, I'm going to go ahead and try to up my mic volume and everything else. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Switch to cell phone. It sounds better. Okay, good. Then I suspect it's probably just the internet at large. All right, so our first question of the day. We've got a client with a brand.co.nz, so a New Zealand website. They've also purchased the brand.com. And I've created a new Magento e-commerce website with about 100 products. They want to remove the existing site and redirect the .co.nz to the new site. So the .co.nz and the .com will be the exact same site. Is this okay for SEO? Are there any tricks to make it work? And what do you watch out for? So yeah, this is fine. Absolutely. You can just remind me that I haven't got the last part of this question yet. You can absolutely do that. What you're going to want to do is 301 the .co.nz site to the .com site. And so there's a couple of ways that you can go about this. If there are pages on the .co.nz site, let me just draw a picture because otherwise it's going to be all airy-fairy. So let's say that this is the .co.nz site, and then over here we've got the .com site. And so let's say that you've got main pages on the co.nz site, so you've got like main 1 and main 2 and main 3. And they can be completely different URL strings over on the .com site, but let's say that whatever rankings you've got on main.1 you want to keep over here on the new thingy 1 site, or 1 page. So this page can redirect, can do a 301 redirect specifically to that new page, to the new URL. And if you don't have anything specific that you want to keep like that, if you just want to do everything generally, then you can just redirect the entire domain. But my guess is that you're going to have like certain product pages over here that are ranking well, and they're going to go to completely different URL strings over here. And so you're just going to want to do something like over here on the .co.nz, you'll do a 301 redirect to from main /main -1 to newsite.com /new-thingy. Right? Makes sense to everybody? Do you use a plugin for your 301 redirects? You know, that is a source of exasperation for me, because we went to Nginx, and so there were only a couple of plugins out there that would work with Nginx, and I tried them both, and they both failed on me. So of course, as soon as it fails, then nothing gets forwarded anymore. So, so if you're still on Apache, I would do the old-fashioned .htaccess file. All right. So I've got 1 yes if that makes sense, and that's all. You guys give me a 1 if that makes sense. And if, oh, maybe it was George's question. No, it wasn't. All right, 1s, a couple of 1s, no 2s. So I will trust that that made sense to everybody. Do you build out, oh, there was part of this, you guys were supposed to remind me there's the rest of this question. In particular, the .co.nz page is already indexed in Google. All right, good. Yep, so that's what we talked about. Good, good, good. Do you build out all of the properties of a DAS cluster in the same day or over the course of a week? Great question. So you could go ahead and register all of the properties the same day, and you could even create the initial pages all in the same day, but you're not going to want to put the links in. And so in any one particular DAS property, you're going to have 2 or 3 pages, right? You create like a little mini silo on each one of those DAS properties, and that you want to take time to build out. So a month, 6 weeks, maybe even 2 months is not unheard of to build out your entire DAS stack. So you do just a little bit. You put up some content, you don't put any inbound links, you let people come by, take a look at it, those properties that get manually reviewed, and then you come back in a week or 2 and you add some more content, and then maybe you add a link and that kind of thing. All right, so hang on just a second, I got a frog in my throat. George says, follow-up to redirects. I'm working on the same site issue. Is there a catch-all for the remaining non-relative pages? That's a good question. I believe, wow, does anybody in the group know if the .htaccess file reads sequentially? I have it in my head, but it's a way, way, way old memory that, you know, you can get all the way to the bottom, and if it hasn't found anything, then you can do the splat redirect. Does anybody know for sure in the group whether or not that's a true thing?
Come on, you guys. Don't make us fail you.
Don't make me do a Google search.
That's basic. I'm just messing with you.
Apache.
Next thing you know, you're going to have them writing in lines of code.
Oh, I almost did back there a minute ago.
Start teaching them code.
Jim's got a question for you, Russell, while I'm looking this up.
Jim Cruz, Russell, what was the name of computer HAL 9000 from Space Odyssey or Operation Time Response from War Games? Knowing the computer source would help in answering your question. Okay. I think it was Hal. I don't know. It was Hal. I don't know the actual computer name. I'm very much into quantum computing. You guys familiar with why she's doing this? Quantum computing is getting a little bit interesting at this point instead of just being theoretical. NASA and Google have got a several multi-million, potentially billion-dollar project happening over in Texas, where they're now going to, since Google can fund it, the processors actually have to be in frozen storage, sub-zero storage. So I don't know if you guys knew that, but NASA and Google actually have these massive it takes about $30,000 a day to cool them. So that's where you're going to start to have interesting questions like quantum. What's interesting is you guys think of science fiction. Those computer systems really do create a multiverse in order to answer your question. So they create sequential, multiple possible outcomes and realities and then weigh the effects. Yeah, and Jeffrey asks, have I seen Ex Machina? Yeah, I did. I mean, it was a bit sensationalized. And that was more of the human dynamics around the area of artificial intelligence. It's kind of been overplayed already, but it was okay. You know, what would happen if Larry Page rented had a big property in the middle of nowhere and was trying to build an artificial intelligence? I thought the movie was okay. Like, it was interesting, but it was less about artificial intelligence, more about getting eaten alive by computers. Yeah, I'm more interested in like what's really happening with quantum physics and quantum computing. If you guys ever want to look into that, just type in quantum computers, Google, NASA research. You can definitely see those guys. You imagine what the algorithms would be like if Google starts providing results based on multiple answers, and there's all kinds of possibilities that open up when they can instantly process multiverse answers. Very cool stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my Google search brought me back nothing, which makes me think that that memory might be false. So I would look hard into that before attempt. Actually, you could just run a test. You could, so the splat, let me come back here to my meeting, my 301 example here. Over here you can do a 301 splat, and that redirects everything to /newsite.com. And then you can see if the 301 redirect up above here still has any effect, or if this took over. I have a really strong memory that that's gonna, but it might be that it was in an if statement. It could be that it was in an if statement. I'm not really sure this juncture. My apologies. But I know that there is a way around it. I know that you might have to do a little bit of HTX's hacking to make it work, but there is a way around it. Next question from Peter. Do link shorteners like bit.ly stack domain authority? Yes, they do. Can I incorporate them without having disadvantages into my DAS clusters? Yes, you may. Are there any drawbacks? And if so, what are they? The only drawback that I can think of right off the top of my head is that you don't want to stack too many bit.lys in a row or too many shorteners in a row. There's a limited number of links that the search engine will go through in order to get to its final destination. And the other thing that I can think of, actually, now that I think a little bit harder, if we come back to our...
Wasn't that 5, Sue, that we talked about?
That's actually a completely different thing. Okay. There's a hypothetical number of 3, although we've pushed past that limit, that a Google bot will go through in order to follow a link. However, let me just increase the size of my font. I realize now that that was way too short. The number 5 that you're thinking of is from a trusted source, and that's exactly where I want to get to. So let's say that you've got your site.com here, and you're making a let's say you've got a Weebly down here. So Weebly is obviously a really high trusted source, and that's like your first jump from the trusted source. So if you come here and you go through a bit.ly, I mean, there's not even a reason to go through a bit.ly to come from your Weebly, because Weebly's already really high. It's probably already higher than bit.ly is. But you could do that, okay? And then I'm going to try to get creative here. All right, good. So now let's say from Weebly, let's say that you're going to go over here to property B. And from property B, you're going to come over here to Twitter. And so from Twitter, you're going to come back up around to your site, right? So if you stack two different things between Twitter and yoursite.com, two different link shorteners, then you've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've just negated your Weebly because you went through two more links to get back to yoursite.com. So that would be the other thing that I would consider. If you're going to do it, I wouldn't do it right here at the base because the base is always supposed to be your highest. But you could do the shortener here, and you could do a shortener here, and then I wouldn't do them any further out because past that point you're losing the trust flow off the Weebly again. All right. So Danny, the first of Danny's many questions. How big can a silo be? Bigger is always better. I don't think that there's any limit. The only time that you kind of run into a limit is for user usability. So in other words, when you got one of these silo menus, like how big do you want the silo menu to actually be? You can get creative with that. If you look at Amazon, they do a great job of getting creative with having really huge silos and figuring out ways to show it so that it's still very usable, but that goes way beyond the scope of our plugins. So I would say something like 20 wide. I've seen reasonable looking pages with where you've got like 20 articles underneath a silo, or where you've got 20 silos. Beyond that, it starts to get a bit much. Or if you're using the deep plugin, you know, you got 20 articles underneath any. The cool thing about the deep, where you've got the posts, is that you can run, or even with simple, where you're at the post level, you can run more articles that way, and then you can just set the menu so that it doesn't show too many. And so then your silo can be as big as you want it to be. And the things that show on the page are going to be the ones that get the most oomph. So you kind of want to arrange that in the silo builder menu so that the ones on top are the ones that you really want to have ranked. They're the most important ones. But so long as they show on the page, it's good. And I've seen things that show on a page up to 20 deep, and that's fine. All right, nobody's saying anything. So the next question from Danny. I'm looking to build out my SEO site. In Google Planner, I was able to find 100 keywords. Not necessarily profitable. I initially just want to be able to show multiple rankings to prospects. What's the best way to incorporate 100 plus keywords and properly silo them? Well, you know, the easiest way that I can tell you how to do that, and it's one of the reasons we wrote Kraken the way that we did, is you can create your silo structure. Like, let's say that you've got 3 silos. You drill into those 3 ideas inside of Kraken. Let me just open Kraken and I'll show you what's the what. Because what you're really asking is, how do I figure out the thematic relevance really easily, right? So, prior question was missing. All right, Danny, I'll go back to it in a sec. Sorry. Prior question. Oh, yeah. Just. Whoa, that's going to mess everything up. Ah! We'll just go backwards. All right. Oh, I see. That's actually relevant. Benefit to using Google Keywords Planners or ad groups. It seems to be a good place to start to know where to stick specific keywords instead of a silo. Yeah, you can do that. They're going to create a thematically relevant aspect out of your keywords. But that's not just like importing a group of keywords. You're going by what it is that they're talking about. But you could do that. Because of what you try to do with AdWords in general, they want to group thematically relevant keywords together, so they're automatically going to group stuff together like that. So yeah, if you don't want to use your ad groups, just looking at your next question here on line 8, if you don't want to use the ad group stuff, what I do is I import it into Kraken, and then I just have Kraken sort it out. So if I come in here to, like, let's say personal injury, and I import a list, I've got these 4 ideas that I want, let's say, as silos, and then I can create an import list, and I can add all of the keywords that I want into this import list, and then I come over here to the blueprint, and I create a blueprint with those silos, and then when I'm done creating the blueprint, hang on a second, let me just go to a blueprint that I've already created. That sounds like a nice blueprint. I can say manage import lists, and I come here to the import list, and come on, baby. It'll bring up a list of all of your import lists, and you can click on that list, and it will automatically add all of the keywords into your current silo structure in exactly the right places. So in other words, in those sections that are most appropriate, in that silo that's most appropriate for that keyword from a thematic perspective. Exactly. Ryan would ask the universe where chocolate heaven is. Nice. All right. So does that answer your question, Danny? All right, cool. So George asks an important question. Why does it increase the power more and more when using the same 4 social profiles to send backlinks? I'm asking this because a few webinars ago, Jimmy said that only the first 10 links send real power, and after that the links get diminished. So why does sending more links from the same social profile increase the power? I'm thinking for a moment. You know,
It's a bit of a
I don't actually remember the context in which he answered that, but what I will say, what I have seen is when we do the 5 iframe punch, where you take something and you embed it in something and you embed it in something, and you mix that up all of the time so that you're not following exactly the same sequence. So like, for example, you take a YouTube video and you embed it in a Storify article. So basically Storify is sending link juice over to YouTube, and then you scoop that. So then Scoop It is sending link juice to Storify, which is also in turn sending that same link juice about 10% diminished also onto YouTube. The next time you might scoop your video directly, right? So then that's a different IP address. So if you've got, say, a half a dozen different platforms that you're using for the 5 iframe punch, there's something like 6 to the power of 6 is like 125,
yeah,
150
depending on what they use.
different combinations. And so that's how it's going to get you like a tremendous amount of link juice. It just builds up and multiplies. It actually goes exponential. And in pretty short order, you see a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah, there's a couple things they're talking about. They're just talking about, you know, how after, I mean, he said a couple of different things, but if you're looking at social explosion, those aren't necessarily profiles. I just want to make sure of the context. Those aren't necessarily profiles. Remember, there's thousands of variable accounts, you know, within the network empire, social signal exchange. So you're getting a variety of different things happening with power and trust happening there. Just make sure. I wasn't sure if that person was talking about that. Also, if you have, you know, do follow links from the same domain coming, you know, like thousands of them, what you'll see in Google Webmaster Tools this is a little bit different than what Jimmy was addressing, I believe. He was talking about the domain authority stacking, I think. But obviously, you know, Google doesn't count They only count like how many links is it from a single domain to a site that they actually count if it's the same domain, like 1,000 times? I think it 15 or 10, and then they truncate.
Yeah, and then they shift the way that they calculate the link juice.
Exactly.
So that
but it doesn't. The power. It's not that power goes away. It's just that they're not giving the full juice. So you might as well no follow the rest of them, really.
Yeah. So what Google's gonna do is pick and choose which links it's gonna attribute, and it'll attribute, generally speaking, the most powerful links.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have you've got like 3 off of your homepage, and then you've got 7,000 in the subpages on a site. This actually happened to me one time when I was doing, I think, a 500,000 page pinvid site. And when you go to the webmaster tools, it just shows the index page, shows the primary useful URLs.
Right, it shows the most powerful links.
And you guys, that's really important, actually. This is why Sue is always talking about thematic relevance. Because if you've designed your site in a way that doesn't really leverage the theme that you're trying to get, and you do have a lot of backlinks, well, this is why the strategy is top down. Make sure that you've got your theme cluster. I mean, even in the pinvid course, we teach thematic relevance, and even when we're using crazy hacks like the battery method, which is taught in automaticvideotraffic.com and other things like that, these things require still the roots of your empire is still incredibly leveraged by theme relevance, by thinking strategically in terms of what themes are actually trying to rank for it. The whole system that we teach really is cheaper by the dozen, and it's not going away anytime soon. Because think about, we were just talking about artificial intelligence and X machine and all that. I mean, think about it. It's just, robots and spiders are not that different than how we would think. It's just a lot smarter and a lot faster. If we make it easier for Google to understand what all those conversations are about, and inbound links represent conversations and ideas and topics in those conversations, then they're going to actually know what's higher important. Just give those rankings. So this is very useful to look at what you're actually trying to do there.
The other thing that I would have to say is that there's a lot more to SEO than just power and trust.
Hugely.
Right? That's something that we talk about, but there are a lot of other factors. And so one of the things that Social Explosion, for example, does is by continually sending backlinks, it's telling Google that your site has not become irrelevant.
Right.
So a constant, it doesn't have to be in particularly steady. It can go up and down, but a constant stream of both backlinks and traffic tells Google that your site is worth having on the front page.
Precisely.
Otherwise, you're going to get a cap as to how high you can go.
Precisely. That's a huge point. It just makes sense. Again, almost everything that we do is really an oversimplification because we're just trying to teach it. For pedagogical reasons, we're really just looking and wanting to show you guys the basics of how it works. But there's a whole lot of other things that I have seen happening that you have to really be aware of. Like I've seen really strange interplays with sites that are super hardcore high traffic from a variety, and that traffic is coming from high domain authority sites and very authentic, and there's a lot of time on site. And I've seen them outpoll and outrank sites that have greater power, which is weird.
Yeah.
And so, here's another weird thing is that you have to think about things like, when you do have a huge number of pages with a lot of traffic, and you can use that little rinky-dink Moz tool or whatever because it's the best thing that we have to check the Moz bar, to check to see the less than perfect data. But I've seen things like just really silly things like high DA sites with just better content. And this was a funny argument to watch Sue and Jimmy have in terms of theme relevance. This was actually the best argument ever. I would give anything to have that entire thing. It was like celebrity deathmatch conversation. It was the argument, which you guys would have loved, was about 5 hours long from 10 in the evening to like 3 in the morning on the relationship of Sue's patent or patentable topic called theme relevance index and how that relates to domain authority and trust flow. And
I won.
What's that, Sue?
I can say that because Jimmy, I won. I can say that.
Hang on, I'm writing down the time code so I can delete this directly from the button. Okay, so yeah. But all kidding aside, well, not all kidding aside, but some of the kidding aside, it was interesting because when we have a celebrity death match in house and really have data arguments, we started looking at things. We actually go to the search engines, right? And we look at a variety of different things, and it was really interesting, Sue. I don't know if you remember it, but I think one of the topics we were using was jewelry. You can find these high domain authority sites that have really thin content, but because they're so thematically clustered, the difference of, I mean, they actually literally render, in some ways they really render a lot of the ideas obsolete, because when you go there, you can see that their trust and their theme is so well thought out, and of course they have all the power on the site. That it really, you can look at a lot of these other sites where they do have a lot more inbound link power, and they've really tried to, but they're just not coming close to that kind of power, on those themes. So, when you look at theme indexing and the power of a theme, you also have to keep that in mind. And that is when we say that you can rank higher using far fewer inbound links than your competition. We do mean that, and that's the advantage of having a top-down approach with siloing and really making sure that you keep things in the same category. And also, that's relevant to what I was saying in terms of inbound links. With the most relevant inbound links happening, for example, if I've got 10,000 links coming, they should be no followed from a pin vid to a primary site. The ones that are indexed, since it's limited to about 12 or 14, because we build these now in thematic structure, we know that we're getting the biggest theme boost on the main site that we're trying to rank from all those tertiary sites, because theme really does give an advantage. And if you start adding the traffic to that, it's really, really helpful when the traffic is also there. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So Ryan's next question regarding DAS. Regarding DAS, Jimmy says to focus on learning the concept, which makes sense, and has currently led to some success. Congratulations. One quick question I had relating to the 5 iframe punch: to what extent do no-follow links matter? That's a wonderful question.
Yeah, it's a recurring question too.
If we chain together 4 to 8 high DA properties, but some links are no-follow, does this break up the trust stacking? Is it more ideal to have all of the links in a stack follow? So here is what I would do. If I were going to have a no-follow in this chain, it would be over here. It would be at the far right-hand side. It's going to still pass the trust, but it won't pass the power. So you want your high power, high trust guys over here, and then you want your no follows over here. All right, and it's quite okay if you don't have any no follows, but you know what, I prefer to not have any kind of a footprint. So I would say mix up some no follows with some follows, personally. So Mark asks, oh, Jimmy is doing much better, by the way. He couldn't make it here today because he's busy prepping for next week, but he's back on his feet again. Question number 1, when you do your second DAS stack, do you use different Web 2.0s or a second page of the widget? Oh, that's a good question. All right, the second DAS stack to the same money site should have a different, at least a different account. And personally, I like to mix up the properties. So back to the trusty dusty little diagram. If I've got a Weebly, and let me just insert something else here. Give me another property. Let's just say Blogger, for lack of something better. So if I've got a Weebly and a Blogger and a Twitter here in this stack, then my next stack, I probably wouldn't use any of these 3 just because there's a whole bunch of properties to choose from. But, if you end up with one of these properties in your next DAS stack, it's not going to be horrible. But I wouldn't, you definitely don't want to, get something that works and then just cookie cutter it over and over and over again. All right, and Terry, question number 2, sorry. How do you boost or power up your Web 2.0s to raise the page authority? There's a couple of ways that you can do that. One way that you don't want to do it is by sending a whole bunch of GSA links to it, right? You don't want to diminish the trust that that property has by sending heaps and heaps of links to it. So so you could send a PBN link to it, for instance. All right, so Terry asks, hope everything is doing great. Had a question last week about having a site with an inner page. Yes, I saw your, and I haven't had a chance. Oh, scoop it, there you go. I haven't had a chance to ask Jimmy the answer to that question. I was hoping that he was going to come back around before the webinar today, but he hasn't. So I will get you that answer. Let me see if he's on the call. Terry, if you're on the call, would you just shoot me your email address so that I can make sure that I get you an answer to that? Yes, you are here. Good. Just shoot me your email address really fast, and I'll make sure that we get that answer to you, because I don't want you to have to hang on for another week or two. All right, excellent. So that's the end of our questions for today. Mr. Wright, just grabbing Terry's email address. Do we want to do a song and a dance?
I'm dancing. I'm singing. I'm dancing. Let me see. I'm thinking.
That's such a melodious song you got going on there.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about which song I'm going to dance to. Okay, let me see here.
Do you guys want to see the new dashboard?
Yeah, you guys, we're going to talk today about some new depeche mode. Shout. Okay, so we're going to talk about the new dashboard. Also, I'm going to drop, can I just have an order of business, Sue, before we jump into that?
Sure.
One order of business is a remarkable. In fact, I'm going to toss it to you so you can put it on the. There has been a significant amount of not confusion as much as I would say interest, and I realized that in blueprints, the automated Kraken blueprint versus the DWS manual. When do we use it? When do we not? And I just wanted to share. Can I share with them that diagram or hand it to you and you share it? I mean the
sure.
Because it mostly comes from OMGers. The question. Let me just pass that over to you before we jump into the social explosion dashboard. What's the best way to get that to you, Sue?
Just drop it in the chat, or I've got Skype up as well.
Let me just put it on my screen. I can just share it. Hang on. Do you mind if I do it so I can walk through it, or is it okay? I'll just get right. You can just grab the power back here. You always snatch the power back anyway. So.
Right.
Okay, that's okay. You're a totalist. We get it. All right. Let me see here. I'm just messing with you. You're actually not a totalist. Hang on, you guys. Sue, do you want to hand it to me, or shall I do it? Oh my gosh, I'm actually posing as you.
Yeah,
that's
you are.
Horrible. Why do you let me? Why do you let me do that?
Well,
Firmly changing my name here. Okay. So let me just Russell Organizer. Yes, make me presenter, and yes, show one of my gigantic screens. Okay. And then we're going to pass this right back to Sue, because we do want to go over the social explosion dashboard. It's pretty mind-blowing, and in fact, I need to go through it as well. So what I really wanted to talk to you guys about is Kraken automatic blueprint versus the network empire builder silo blueprint. Okay, and Sue knows a lot more about both of these than I do. But what it is, I'm going to drop this in. I just created a chart. I don't need to beat the dead horse here on this one, but I've left it for all of you in the group, and we're going to start using this more and more. Both of these, and we come from the perspective of plugins, because I know that everybody loves plugins, right? Both of these import into our plugins, okay? And the main thing that I've done here is to make sure that you guys understand, first and foremost, that the Network Empire Builder is really what we're recommending for money sites. Hopefully, give me a 1 if you're familiar about the difference between a money site versus secondary sites, just so I know that you guys understand where I'm going. What is a money site, right? A money site is where your transaction happens. It's where you've got this big, fat, juicy buy button, right? And the money goes into your bank account so that you don't have to have a day job, that kind of stuff. Okay, so main thing here is to understand that your money site, which we cover in certification level 1 in the advanced training above and beyond our members area, but also our software and even the basic bundles have any builder in there. And that's the reason that there's a distinction here, and again, Sue can also speak to this, is that you can actually data sculpt. See where it says here that allows custom business decision filters relevant to your business financials. You see that check mark? And the automated version doesn't do that. That's the key distinction after talking to a lot of you guys, because it is very tempting to use Kraken automatic blueprint, especially the OMG discount on that, in case you guys didn't know there was one. It's tempting for some of you, and have even come to me, and in fact I had a gal come to me this morning thinking that that was enough to generate a report for sellblueprintsfirst.com and this and that. And the bottom line is no, it's not. Okay, you can't. She was actually going to try to go around the blueprint, Sell Blueprints First course and do it on her own and just, be sneaky and buy an automated blueprint and then try to turn that into that. That's not what the Sell Blueprints First course is, okay? It's a combination of both of these. So the main thing I want you to know is that Network Empire Builder is best for money sites because you're going to be taking into account, or Mike Clay and the way that Sue does it and I do it, we take into account the customer's own business filters. In other words, just give me a for instance, like if the difference between selling a $97 product versus selling a $10,000 product is huge difference in how much money you can afford to spend when ranking a keyword, right, or a page. Does that make sense? Can you guys give me a one? It's pretty huge. And Sue is a master at all this. Sue, feel free to jump in anytime. I'm just kind of, showcasing my rap here because we're starting to use this, out in the field and stuff. So I think it's, it's good for Mike too, and Mike Clay and their team.
Sure.
So just wanted you guys to be aware of that. Thanks, George. See ya. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so, but again, what are the difference here is that Network Empire Builder doesn't have that set and forget automatic drilling. With Sue made a pretty amazing help file in 2008. It has been revised. It's still incredibly useful today. What I find amazing is the fact that that was made, several years ago, and it's still the most advanced type of keyword and research tool of its time, even on automatic. Okay, and that is we still have a help file called the automatic SEO silo blueprint application. I've recently just updated this with more stuff coming. Is anybody interested in just me dropping a link to this in there so you guys understand? And there's a 3-cycle process in here that actually automates the entire process of building a blueprint. Like quite literally, when I build one of these, I just follow Sue's steps right here, and then I go to bed and I wake up in the morning and it's done. It's a little bit on the silly side. I mean, like quite literally, you do have to, click the green arrows on your silo landing pages, and then when you wake up, it's got the best silo structures. Now, again, that being said, that falls as a part of the automatic blueprint, and it is really best for secondary sites. So that one huge distinction, I'm going to go ahead and hand that to a couple of you who've asked. The huge distinction here is that has caused some confusion, I think some decision fatigue. And I'd like to apologize to you guys. I didn't really do a great job of explaining all this. You really don't want to be building your WR1 sites automatically. Okay, you really don't. That is your primary transaction site. Okay, the WR1 site. You don't really want to do that. Now, there are people that are building their microsites. I have a guy who, can't remember who, maybe you're even here. I'm forgetting your first name. I know it immediately if I saw you. I apologize. He's building a bunch of microsites with the automatic blueprint surrounding his network, his primary. And that's completely fine because he just wants to, what do you call churn and burn? Like, not churn and burn, just churn and rank. Churn and rank. They're not going to get burned because they're so themed. I just wanted you guys to be aware of the difference and the distinction here and how cool it is to understand how these things work together. Okay, so that's probably what I wanted to cover today. Just make sure you guys had that new information. I think a stumbling block for me being able to help you guys is, first of all, any builder or DWS, if you're an advanced user, is really about making sure that you have the most ridiculous plan ever, the most profitable and crazy powerful plan for your money site, so that when you're dragging all that, when you could even automatically generate a few of these out here if you want. We have our pin bid course, which we just finished up week 7 of that last week, and really incredible stuff in there. Oh, by the way, you guys should all, when you start getting an ROI and making money, you really do need to take the pin bid course, if not just for the battery method hacks alone, which we do not give out very easily. But point here is that distinction should really make it clear. Okay, another thing to keep in mind is that, and this is for the three of you here I see who are using Kraken automatic blueprints and the OMG price point for that, is that silos, and Sue, I'm going to do my best. If I don't do this right, you just jump in and tell me, correct me, okay? The silos on, and this is one clear distinction I cleaned up this morning with the user, silos go 2 levels deep under the silo landing page. Okay, it doesn't go 2 levels deep under the automatic video Kraken. Okay, in other words, the deep silo builder, you can import from DWS an extra level. Okay, you can't do that in the automatic blueprint builder in Kraken. Okay, so see this one. Let me just show you guys this as an example. Here's an example of a site that was 100% automatically generated. This is a demo that Sue did a couple of years back. And these silo landing pages were her example. And you know, after the drill, these are the most profitable and co-occurrent and thematically related articles on the entirety of Google that were generated automatically for her. Hopefully you guys who are very technical can understand how powerful that is, because then you've got the ultimate kind of cluster happening that's just like, okay, you know, Google tells us exactly what you want in terms of a theme, so it's all here. So hopefully that makes sense, that this is the silo landing page, and this is 1 level deep on the automated blueprint that we have. But the money site or any builder, you can go another level. You could have this and sub-articles under it, just like the plugin allows you to do, the deep silo plugin. Does that give me a 1 if that all makes sense to you, and 2 if I just made things really super confusing? And this is really helpful to me, because when I get 1s from everybody, then we probably will have really cleaned up any confusion that I might have accidentally done. Okay, great. There's only 1, 2 so far. And for that person who still doesn't quite understand, can you just let me know, have you ever built a silo before? Just give me, Jim, can you let me know if you've ever built a silo? Okay, that's okay then, Jim. I appreciate that then, but that's not a problem really with my explanation. That's more understanding the difference of the levels. No problem. Okay, so good. So we'll go ahead and pass this. That's really all I had to say, unless there's any more questions on this. I passed it to everybody and they can see that. Okay, cool.
I'm just looking at Damien's question.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff there. Yeah, that's not going to be available anytime soon, Damien, sorry. Probably shouldn't even have talked about it. It's probably going to be more towards the end of the year okay, remember we were just checking to see who was interested in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Here's some questions for me. Great, thanks guys. Because I need your help if you guys have any question whatsoever, you need to just let me know. And you're really helping me. Joanne is saying, I have built a silo, but not with Kraken. Yeah, okay, well that's okay. Because here's the interesting thing. One thing that's not on here is you can build silos manually with the deep silo builder as well. It's just not researched quite as well. In fact, nowhere near as well, honestly. I'm trying to be diplomatic, but you know, the level of research that you can do with any network empire builder, I know that's primarily what you use, Sue, isn't it, for all the money sites?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's
a whole other.
If I were doing an affiliate site, then I might go with Kraken, where I'm just looking for lead gen, so I'm just looking for high conversion keywords.
Mm-hmm.
But if I actually have a product where I'm trying to handcraft something, then I go with Network Empire Builder.
Exactly. And David's saying, wouldn't it make sense to bundle those together, Russ, or maybe already? It is actually in our agency and our enterprise. The challenge that I am facing is a lot of OMGers are not really able to upgrade to something like enterprise, and our enterprise packages are $600 a month. So what we do have is we have a standalone version of Kraken and a standalone version of the Kraken blueprint that you can buy, and it is an additional price. In other words, that's not part of the pro bundle. So I just want you to be aware that you guys might even know this, but if you do want to build the blueprint over there, you can actually buy we have something called Kraken only. It's actually not part of let me see if I can find that for you guys. And this is another challenge that we have, since it's not part of the regular bundle layout, it's kind of standalone. And you can actually try it for 7 days rather than paying these agency prices, which some of you just really can't pay, as you've expressed to me. So you can actually try Kraken with the blueprint. The blueprint is, if you want to buy tokens for them or credits, there's a full blueprint for the automation and what's it called, full and partial?
Outline.
Outline, yeah. So you don't have to, an outline, we can get into the details of what that is, but I wanted you, since we've had so many questions come in this week, I just wanted you to be aware that it is possible to automate the process of blueprints. That's the first takeaway. The second takeaway is probably don't want to do it for super high refined sites that you really got to be accountable to rankings and backlinks in terms of, wanting to know how many backlinks it'll take or how many articles you need. Any builder really gets into how much of what, how much, where, why, and how, okay? Whereas the Kraken doesn't really care about how difficult something is to rank for. It will just give you the most profitable and the most thematically relevant things to talk about, okay? And it's really better for secondary things most of the time. Yeah, people are asking for the standalone link here, so we'll go ahead and drop that in. Sue handed it to you. Greg, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood what was going on there because I got some feedback from people, and that's why I created that chart. That they felt that that the Kraken price was not, the enterprise level is not what they were ready for because they were not agencies, and they wanted to just try it. And although we've had this out for a while, people were not aware of it. So hope that's very helpful. And again, any feedback from everyone would be greatly appreciated. If I'm still not explaining it in a way that you understand, I'll continue to refine that, and I'm happy to help you on Skype. Also, everybody should know that if you haven't already, our Skype address is ThemeZoom, ThemeZoom, and we will add you to our SEO group. And of course, all of you can join you're probably already in the Project Be Real, and this is an ongoing project. So, okay, cool. Sue, I'll put the power back. Excellent. Unless you want to snatch it back. It's always more fun.
I snatched it already.
Oh. Good for you. Okay, good.
Let me just see which screen I'm showing. All right, good.
Okay, now let's just go here and clear the palette a little bit. Sue, please be sure to give us a backstory, and let's not assume that everybody on this call understands. We have a lot of new people. But please tell us what product is. Like, I had a hard time understanding what the name of the product was this morning, right? So
I know.
Slow down. You got to slow down.
All right.
She gave me the name of the product one thing this morning, and we decided to change the name again. So it was just
URL strings. That was all I was trying to get across. Anyway,
okay.
Once upon a time, long ago and far away, there was pathetic social automation where when you tried to automate with social profiles and third-party platforms, you had to go and create all of these accounts by hand. And I spent more money with my outsourcers creating accounts than I actually got back in ROI. So we developed Social Explosion. We took all of those accounts that we had painstakingly created by hand and coddled over time, and we put them into a piece of software that now you can take advantage of. In other words, you can drop this plugin into your blog, and you don't have to create any social accounts. You can just say, feed me, see more. I mean, no, that's what Social Explosion says, yes. Anyway, you can just buy this little plugin, subscribe to credits, and a credit is spent each time your blog post is posted to a social platform. And Bob, as they say in Australia, is your uncle. In other words, Social Explosion runs off and does all of the heavy lifting for you. Okay, so enter today's latest and greatest advancements. One of the things that you could do inside of Social Explosion was you could put your feed, because as soon as we had the ability to be able to explode things, we wanted to be able to explode more things, right? I don't just want my blog exploded. I want my YouTube channel exploded, and I want my Scoop It magazines exploded, and I want my everything exploded, right? There's more things. If you look at some of the stuff that we talk about in the one feed, in our videos, in the OMG area, you'll see that we talk a little bit about all the different kinds of feeds and what you can do with them. So then the next limitation was hit. You could only put one feed into the plugin at a time. And I don't know about everybody else, but that just drove me crazy. So I begged and pleaded to our programmers, please, 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 can you make me a dashboard where I can add an unlimited number of feeds? And here is the dashboard, and it does oh so much more. All right, so let's just start off with adding a new feed. In this case, it doesn't matter how many feeds you've got in there. You can always add another feed. So I'm going to go ahead and add a juicy feed, one that's really long, just so that you can get an idea of what this does. www.networkempire. network. Let's try spelling it right. See, this is what happens when I get excited. I can't type. /feed. All right, so it comes back and it tells you the feed can't be parsed. That's because I wasn't paying any attention to the fact that it needed an HTTP in front of it. All right, so now it comes back and it tells me the number of feeds are 50. Excellent. So by default, it reads the name on the feed, but you can call this whatever you want. So I can say this is like webinar demo. And then I can come down here and I can decide which of the 4 platforms I want it to like go out to the universe on, where and how should it be exploded. So let's say that the frequency on Digo is low, but I want it to be for a really long time. And I can set this as a default so that I never have to worry about it again if that's what I always want Digo to be. And let's say that this is a medium on Delicious, and I also want it to be for a long time. And it's going to tell me, like, this is going to cost me 14 promotions per post. This is going to cost me 28 promotions per post. That's an average. We take, we don't do anything that's like can leave a footprint, so we're going to vary that, but that's going to be the average. And so then this one, Pinterest, I've got really excellent images on this particular blog, so I want that set to high and high. So that tells me it's going to take 56 promotions per post. And then this one, Twitter over here, I want this to be like, maybe medium and for a long time. So this is going to take 28 promotions per post. And so then, because I've got 50 items in my feed right now, it's going to tell me that it's going to debit my account 6,300 promotions for this feed. And I can look up here and go, oops, I don't quite have that. So I can click this and I can go buy some more credits. And I can just make that like, let me just do this. Hang on for a second. It's going to take me over here to where I can actually, /plugin download, where I can actually hit the buy button for the credits. So when I come over here and I'm looking at these credits that I can buy, you see I only need like 6,300, so I only need like 400 credits to make this up. So I could buy the 500 bundle for just this month and then cancel right after. And then that'll give me enough to actually promote this. If I want to make sure that I've got enough for this and whatever other blog posts I got going out, then maybe I want to bounce it up to 1,000, but you can figure that out. So I would go and buy an extra little bundle so that I've got enough credits to be able to handle this, and then you just hit create and Social Explosion goes off and away and does this little boogie. See, I didn't say Bob's your uncle this time. All right, so I don't actually want to do that right this minute, so I'm going to come back here to RSS feeds because I've already promoted this blog post once. You can see it's right here, networkempirenews.com. So let me just come in here and I will show you what happens once you've got it and it's active and running. So as you can see here, I can examine any of my posts that have gone out, any of them. I don't think this is paginated yet, but it will be. And I can also search for them. So let's say that I wanted to search for a particular post. Give me the name of a post, Rosie. Oh, I'll just look for one here. Let's search for Kraken. That would be good. And then this will bring back all 4 posts within the last couple of months that have had anything to do with Kraken. And then I can pull open one at a time. I can re-promote this, and I can set what the re-promotion things are going to be. So in other words, it doesn't have to default to the current settings. I'll be able to, right now it just tells you what they are, but he's working on an edit function for those right this minute. So you can hit the re-promote for that. So let's say, for example, there was a moment in time when you didn't have credits in your account and some stuff went out and it didn't get published. You can come in here and publish it that way. Or let's say that you had a really popular post and it's done with its 2-week publish or almost done with its 2-week publish. You can hit the republish now and it'll redo the approximately 50 is what I have this set for probably. it'll redo those another set of 50 explosions, another set of 50 postings starting from right now. So in other words, as I look down through this list, I can see that about half the list has already gone out. So if this was set for 2 weeks, we've got about a week's worth that's already gone out. So if I did another one right now for 2 weeks, then obviously there would be about a week of overlap where the rest of these posts that say no, they're scheduled but they're not going out yet, where these continue to post and my new ones are going to start to post. Does that make sense? I see that there's a few questions here. Just says, then every time you make a new post, will it promote that new post automatically? Yes, it will. All right, and that's all the previous conversation. Good. All right, so just come back up here to feeds again for a minute. Oh, yeah. So there's 3 different possibilities here. You've got active, paused, and deactivated. Now, deactivated is something that the system does when it can no longer read that particular feed. And paused is something that I can change. So in other words, I can come in here to this feed, and I can deactivate it. Actually, I had that backwards. Deactivated is something that I do, yeah, and paused is something that the system does. All right, so I can come in here and I can deactivate this feed, and then when I come back here to the feeds, you're going to see that this is deactivated. And paused, what happens here, this is because YouTube changed their feed URL structure. And so every hour or so, this is still going to go back and try and see if there's data there that it can get. So, you know, to be nice to the system, I ought to deactivate that too. All right, so that's in a nutshell everything that you can do with feeds. There's more enhancements coming. Up here you can see the last time it was parsed. You can see how many items it found on the last parse. Since it parses every hour or so, you normally don't catch the last parsed number of items. But you can see here the total number of items that were parsed, and so as this number goes up, you can tell that it's actually working and doing stuff. And so that's everything with feeds. Now we have another whole side to the dashboard, and that is posts. And this takes a minute for it to find all of my posts because unfortunately I have a whole bunch of them. And also in my posts on my blog, which is suebell.me, I don't actually have it turned on. I've got the plugin installed, but I don't have it set to schedule anything, which you can see the scheduled posts are 0. Again, you can search for something. So I could search, let's say, for something for just stuff in a particular silo, for example. And it'll pull back all of my back pain items, and it works lickety-split. For a minute, I thought the first time that it hadn't actually done anything. It works so dang fast. And then you can go into any one of these. You can see your content that was uploaded, and you would see your promotions. Obviously, I don't have any promotions, so you're not going to see anything. And right now, if you hit the republish, because it was originally set to not promote anything, it's still not going to promote anything, but he's going to put an edit box in here within the next day or so. I think he's working on it right now. And you'll be able to say, hey, I had the wrong settings for this post. This is the settings that I really want. And then you hit the re-promote, and it will go off and do it. So in that way, like guys have asked us a lot, like, you know, I have this, right now my settings, they're all set to low, but every twice in a while there's a blog post that I really want to promote heavily. How can I do that? Well, you can come in here as soon as you've published it. You can find the post. You can change your settings to be high, and hit the re-promote, and it'll do that. All right. So David McCormack. Yes, so you can set your site up. So there's one or two ways that you can do it. So here's my recommendation. If you have a blog and you want to promote your blog using Social Explosion, I would install the plugin on your blog and promote it that way, rather than go through the feed. Because when you have your blog installed, it reads when you have the plugin installed on your blog, sorry, it reads the entire content. And what Social Explosion does is it explodes the content. In other words, it takes your content line by line for the first several lines, and it will use that content as alternative text when it explodes it. And usually the first paragraph of your content is some pretty good stuff, particularly if you use Russell's painkiller content method. So I would do it that way over taking the feed from the blog and installing it, because as you can see, when you look at the feed, it's going to take me to the blog over here. When I look at the actual feed and I come in here to one of the items, what happens on your blog feed is that you just get a synopsis, right? You usually just get a couple of lines. And so then it's going to just promote those couple of sentences along with the title, obviously, and it'll give preference to the title of your blog post. But it's just going to promote those couple of sentences over and over again. So you get a lot more content, a lot more diversity when it actually takes the entire blog post as opposed to just the feed. Oh, and the other reason that I would do it is because if you have an image at all on your blog post, the plugin will pull that image so that you've got something to send to Pinterest. And I think it sends it to Delicious Indigo as well. And you know, that just helps the clickability, and obviously if there's no image, it's not going to send it to Pinterest at all. And most of the time, by default, feeds do not have images contained. You've got to jump through a hoop to get an image into your feed. All right. Can you delete a deactivated feed to clean up the dash? Yes, absolutely, Rosal. And Jeffrey asks, so deactivate is now one. So deactivate is now I stop it from promoting new posts. Yes, deactivate is how you're going to stop it from promoting new posts. So if you want to just pause it temporarily, maybe you're going to put out a particular kind of content through your feed and you don't want to have that promoted, or maybe you just want to pause it for a while for whatever reason, yeah, you can just deactivate it. Razzle asks, can you talk about how to use OneFeed Supercharger and the dash? Sure. All right, not to scare anybody, but so one of my favorite things to do is, let me just open up my blog. Oh, not that way. Let's go to the back end of it so that we can actually show you OneFeed Supercharger. Which I might not have. OneFeed Supercharger, there we go. All right, so the way that I would now use OneFeed Supercharger and Social Explosion Oh, I'm having to separate the things that are coming from the things that are here. Hang on, 2 shakes of the lamb's tail. This is always the dilemma of the coder. No, actually, that's not ready for me to talk about yet. So I probably, at this point, I probably wouldn't use OneFeed Supercharger necessarily to create a feed that I would use in Social Explosion, because I can control it quite granularly. So part of the problem that we had before, we used OneFeed Supercharger as kind of a workaround, was to create one ginormous feed that we could then put into Social Explosion. But now that we've got the dashboard, we don't need to do that anymore. You can just put in all of your feeds from all of your different places and not have to worry about it. And just know that we have some other additional evilness that's going to be coming along that, you know, the one thing that I might do is you could randomly include older posts. And you could do that. So instead of using what you could do here is you could set your post to include to be just one. You could have one feed supercharger installed on the same blog that you've got Social Explosion. You let Social Explosion go ahead and actually explode your blog, promote your blog, but you use one feed supercharger just to get some random old posts also promoted from time to time. And I would probably include the full content just so that you can, just so that it's got more stuff to create the explosions with, and then posts to include would be one. Now, if you're going to do this with the including of the old posts, you need to come in here to settings, and you need to tell it old posts from and to dates, right? So how far back do you want to go? And then what you need to know is once you create this feed, just come back here into this feed. This feed is going to have a particular name. It's going to create this post. Let me just go ahead and edit it. Actually, let me create a new one. Let's do that. So webinar demo, and I'm going to say post to include are 1 and full content, and yes, and post to include are 1. Actually, this can be a 0, and that can be a 1. And so now the only thing that's going to be included is one old post. So now I'm going to hit the publish on that, and I'm going to come to my settings because I don't know that I actually have anything in my settings. So let me just make sure that I've got something to, let's say, a month ago. Update the old posts. Nothing updated. All right, so then it was already set. And then if I come to all my feeds, webinar demo, I want to check the RSS, open link in a new one. All right, so then this is going to give me one old post, right, from a couple of days ago. So that's curious. So you could grab that, and that's going to give you a different item in your feed every time Social Explosion comes along and does its boogie. So I could grab this feed, and I could come here, and I could add a new feed, and I could say, historical items from blog. And let's just say it's just a heartbeat, right? I just want a heartbeat on some of the older stuff. So, in fact, let's not enable these two. Let's just do Twitter. And let's just give it a low and a low. So that's going to give me like 9, 3 promotions, 30 days, 3 promotions. And that's going to actually be 3 promotions in 3 days. So it's just going to be 9 promotions. Oh, check that. That's not calculating properly. I didn't see that till it got down really low, but I'll have Scott fix that. It's all brand new stuff. Anyway, so now if I create this, it's going to just, every time it looks at that feed, it's going to find a different historical post and grab it and promote it. And so that's one thing that would be useful, I think. So just so that you've got not only activity coming to your current stuff, but some coming to your historical stuff as well. So Dave asks, does this work on WordPress only sites? Is HTML okay? If so, would I need to add the /feed for RSS and send social? Yeah, so if you have an HTML site, then I would use something. There's 2 or 3 facilities out there that will get you a feed from your HTML site and just throw that into the dashboard here. That's the easiest thing.
Yeah, you can use xmlsitemaps.com. This is my current recommended. It's tested and true.
That's going to give you an RSS feed?
Yep, you can make a sitemap into an RSS feed if you want.
Oh.
Uh-huh. That's why I recommend it.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
How often does one feed update the old posts? One feed is going to update the old post every time it's read, so about once an hour. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is once this cycles through, let me just come over here and show you that. What this does is it's only going to take one URL string at a pop. So like it will only process one URL string, period. So the reason that this is going to get reprocessed is because OneFeed Supercharger makes a different URL string from what it had before. So it's going to have a UTM code on it. Hang on a second. Let me find it here. Here's your link. So suebell.me/hip pain/yoga postures, blah, blah, blah. And then the important bit here is the UTM source, right? So you can see here, this was the title that we made, webinar demo. So every time you create a feed, you're going to give it a different title, and that's going to create a new URL string, so that Social Explosion is then going to look at this and go, oh, hey, I haven't actually processed this post before. I'll go ahead and process it again. And it will do that once for each of your older items in the feed until it's exhausted all of your old items, and then it will stop. So if you give that like a, say, a 30-day frame in the historical section in OneFeed Supercharger, it'll process those 30 items within, or assuming that you're doing one a day. It'll process whatever items you have in your blog for those 30 days, and then it'll stop. It'll keep sending it to OneFeed Supercharger, or I mean to Social Explosion, but Social Explosion will look at it and say, hey, that's the same URL string as what I've had before, so I don't need to process it again. So when you get to the point where it's not processing anything, you just create another feed in OneFeed Supercharger. You can call it something as simple as Webinar Demo 2, and then pop it out, and it'll process that same month over again. If you want to, you can change months, and then obviously that's a whole other month's worth of content that it'll drip out for. So that's kind of what I tend to do is, like right now we're in August, or September. Shoot, how does time fly quite so quickly? We're in September, so I might take September from a year ago, or maybe from 6 months ago. It depends on how evergreen your content is. And I'll let that run for a little while, and then I'll bump it up a month when I think about it, and then I'll bump it up another month. And so then I've got stuff that's constantly running. I don't have to futz with it too often. I can do it on an as I think about it basis, and then it seems kind of, you get that whole randomness associated with it. All right.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you. Good night.
So what you name the feed in OneFeed Supercharger has no bearing on the anchors from Social. Correct. It doesn't have any bearing on the anchors from Social Explosion. It just tells Social Explosion that it's a different thing.
You're welcome, David. Welcome, Jeffrey. People are excited about this. Dang it.
Right?
Yes, again, yes, this XML-sitemaps does create an RSS feed of any sitemap as a side effect. It's really very similar file, folks. They just transmorph it into you as an option. Okay, so you can do any HTML. It'll parse any HTML site. Doesn't matter if it's WordPress. I've parsed a 7,000-page site with this software and turned it into an RSS feed. So just be aware. It's a very, very good software. It's a service, actually. No, actually, I'm sorry. It's a downloadable sitemap, or both, or whatever, or you figure it out. Okay, so great. Yeah, give me a 1 if this is a enhancement that you like with Social Explosion, or if you wish we just kept it a plugin, give me a 2. Oh, we're getting overwhelming 1s. There's so many 1s that I can't even read the stuff going by. Okay. All right, so I guess y'all really wanted that. So apparently most of you have broken out of only the WordPress environment, and you need some, break out some of those limitations. Of course, Sue is always like 25 steps ahead, and that's been there for a while, so I'm glad we finally rolled these out, and it looks great, Sue. And we have more stuff coming for you guys as well. We're excited about all of it.
Yeah, some of the next changes, one of the next changes that we have coming is a browser toolbar that you'll be able to, like if you're on a Tumblr site and you've just entered something in a Tumblr and you want to socially explode it, you'll just be able to click the item on your browser bar and Bob will be your uncle.
Right, it'll just be like, it'll be similar to like a bookmarklet bar. Is everybody familiar with a bookmarklet?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Hootsuite has, where if you have a bunch of accounts in there, you can blast them. Except ours is in some ways a lot easier because you don't have to set up those accounts. It's pretty lethal. All right, social explosion sign up. Sure. Let me just give you that link, and we'll go ahead and give you the. We don't really have a dashboard for the dashboard, but I'll just give you the regular. Everybody gets it the same thing, really. So you'll just go through the process of buying the plugin. I'm going to go ahead and drop that for everybody just in case you haven't got this. If you have any questions, of course, the help file is on that page. And this technology is serious development, folks. Just really above and beyond anything that it's a project that I haven't been involved in a project quite like this before. I would say that Kraken and ThemeZoom were pretty powerful and interesting projects, but there was just a very different kind of coding. So it's been a lot of fun for me to watch Sue work with the team and to listen to all the developments and the back and forths on our development chat lines. And this is a beast. This thing is really a beast. So I'm pretty excited about it.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're just really getting rocking with it. Like it's
you guys are
it's really fun.
This is not your really definition really of a full launch yet, is it, Sue? You're still
up.
So I'm like, what does a full launch actually look like sometimes? I mean, Sue is telling me that when we built ThemeZoom 1.0, she said that's not the real launch. When we got to Kraken, I was like, holy crap. I mean, Kraken wasn't the real, So it's just constant development and intensification of already awesome things. And we have more power coming for you guys. So I think we'll end it here just on that excited note, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, we did miss Jimmy today, but I think that we held our own for sure. I know definitely with Sue here we did. And if you have any questions, please do sign up on the Skype room is really hopping. We have now 2 fully loaded Network Empire Basic SEO rooms with 300 people each, and we're at least upwards now of 300 on the second one. I never thought I would fill up that fast. I'm thinking I might have to start a third one. With that being said, please be aware that we do monitor all of them and the conversations going on in there. And great, we have people saying things like, hey, we really enjoyed your webinar today. Oh, that was really awesome. Learned something new. George is saying great info today as always. You got a social explosion link. Andy, it's good to see you. And so on and so forth. So you guys are awesome, and I hope everybody had a fantastic vacation. Don't forget to drink water, and remember, you're all geeks. I know you, like I know myself. You got to take care of yourself physically, otherwise you get sick. I'm telling my team that same thing as well. Be sure to get regular exercise and align your geek nature with reality. Drink lots of water. The occasional tequila can't hurt. No, don't say that out loud. And then don't diet Dr. Pepper is George's choice. That really, I'm not going to recommend that, George, but I don't judge. And also just remember a little bit of sunlight here and there. Man cannot live.
Sunlight. Well, that's not. No, that goes against my vampiric nature.
I don't know if you guys ever watched NCIS or CSI, and then they found this body, and he was a programmer, and they knew he was a programmer because his bones were like brittle and atrophied. He had sat in front of the computer for too long, and I'll never forget that in CSI. So don't be that guy. You guys just, get outside, get some exercise, even if you have to drive to Starbucks or whatever. Make sure you guys.
That's my favorite exercise.
Yeah, so we just got to make sure, otherwise you just won't, you all get rich and you won't live long enough to enjoy it. So I just want everybody in here to be healthy. David says he drinks kombucha, which is excellent for some people. That's great. And Brent puts Dr. Pepper inside kombucha, which is weird, but hey, we'll call that a kombucha Dr. Pepper. Who knew? Talk about more, mutations. So anyway, you guys get what I'm saying, but I'm really on a big water kick for everybody because I went over to a friend's house the other day. Andy says I went for a 5-mile run. Okay, well, I don't recommend that, Andy, but good for you. I'm just messing with you. No, for those of you guys who are marathoners and You can ignore Dr. Joel's Wallachs on the leaching of minerals through too much running, but that's okay. That's a controversy. But the bottom line is you just keep some exercise and keep, just stay healthy. Everybody, stay healthy. Okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead and bag out here. And we look forward to, can I announce, please, to each and every one of you, there is a webinar coming up. And this webinar is one that I'd like, if you're interested in coming, it's on Friday. I'm going to drop the link inside the Skype room. It's Sue and I are going to be, if not Sue and I, at least me and the rest of our marketing department. We're going to be
I'll be there.
Yeah, okay. We're going to be doing pre-launches for all of our products and services. I'm really trying to talk to Sue and everybody else about every software release that happens, that we have a webinar. If it's a major release, we do a webinar introduction. So this is going to be certification level 4, since we just finished automatic video traffic. For those of you who are interested in advanced training, and cash flow is not an issue for those, it's above and beyond the pro membership area, we are going to do our automatic RSS content broadcasting course in just a few weeks. Actually, it's very soon.
24th it starts.
24th,
yes.
Okay. So we're going to do a pre-webinar on Friday. And the pre-webinars, I think I have like umpteen different testimonials here. Our pre-webinars are as good as most people's regular webinar content. So that's
the bad thing about doing a pre-webinar for this particular course is I have to give away way too many secrets.
I know, it really is.
Our web ring system, how you want to think about it and what we do, and it'll give you a whole different way of thinking about PBNs and how you want to do your linking structures.
Yeah, and it's free. Free! And if you order in the next 4 minutes, I'll give you this free Ginzu knife. Okay, hang on a second. Well, how do you guys feel about me just dropping the registration link in here right now for you guys in case? Is there anybody, give me a 1 if you're interested in automatic content that's perfectly SEO congruent with Jimmy Kelley and Sue Bell's methods, that also generates traffic, that incorporates the automatic video site, understands website architecture, teaches you how to basically sculpt domain authority, trust and trust flow, and gets you tons of traffic. Is anybody interested in that kind of integrated one-feed word-of-mouth system? Or no, they're not interested. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, I guess we'll see you next week. No. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you I'm copying the webinar registration link right now. I'm going to go ahead and toss it into the chat area, and I won't turn off this call until everybody is there. If I could find my head from a hole in the ground here. I've got the biggest monitors available that I could really fit in this room, and I still can't find the freaking chat thing most of the time. All right. Hang on.
Once you slide it off the screen, Russell, it
Golly,
slid off the screen.
Whiz, yeah. And then I was like, oh yeah, I have the computer itself screen over here. All right.
Right.
If you guys can see that opt-in, could you let me know? You should see the GoToWebinar. It's called Announcing the Certification Level 4 Automatic RSS Broadcasting course. This is a real doozy. And so if you have time, that's great. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know, because I know you're all busy making money, and it goes against the form of what I've been taught. But there will be a replay for this, so I don't want you to feel super stressed out, okay? But I would like you to be there in person so that you can ask real questions. I like to focus not on the scarcity, but on the fact that if you're not there, we can't interact with you, and we can't really address any root questions. CK doesn't see it, okay? I'm going to give it to you.
You're not going to be able to ask me any intimate questions about my bands, my whips, or my stilettos.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, God, you just said all that. So you guys have that. I can't really take her pretty much anywhere. So, all right, you guys have that. Jim Cruz. Okay, yeah, that was a little bit too exciting for Paul.
Apparently.
Melvin's on your phone. Okay, that's no problem. By the way, on our newsletter at Network Empire News, we're going to go ahead and launch this today if I ever get off of any of the webinars. I pretty much live on webinars now. I mean, I feel like I'm on the permanent, home shopping network channel with webinars these days. So, so that's all right. Yeah, you better go to sleep, Andy. We'll see all of you there. I hope to see you on the webinar on Friday, and we look forward to seeing you on the inside. And again, please be healthy, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
I'm going to go ahead and drop this at the bottom of
Yeah.
g.software for all of you folks who,
Okay.
who
Yeah.
can't otherwise get it.
Yeah.
I'll just paste it right in at the very bottom.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually leave this rolling for about a minute and 30 seconds, just so you guys have time to grab anything that you might not have grabbed out of chat. And but I'm gonna get off the line, so we'll see you next time. And thanks, Sue, for joining us. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day for running umpteen billion companies and everything. So we'll catch you.
Hey, thank you, Russell. I appreciate it.
All right, catch you later. Bye, guys.
Very good point, Greg. I will do that. Give me a moment.